Welcome back to another episode of Pussycat Dolls. We have a special guest today here. He was on season 15 of Ink Master.
I live, eat, breathe art. This competition is made for me, and I am competition. Hi, my name is Joel Mejia. I'm 25 years old, and I'm from Manteca, California. I wish they kept me on because I was giving full telenovela. So okay, yes. I'm gonna give you guys some tea. So you could see it in my elimination when I'd gotten the boot and whatever. No one told me to stand up or anything, but I was like, thank you. I stood up, and you could see it. I turned back around, and I was tears in my eye, and I was fully just like, this won't be the last time you ever see me, and then walked away. But they cut that out, and I was like, that would have been so cut. That would have been so everything because it was like a full telenovela.
Okay, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Pussycat Dolls. We have a special guest today here. He was on season 15 of Ink Master. Everyone welcome Joel Mejia.
Hello, everybody.
There should be an applause.
Hi.
Yeah, All right, yeah, so we just wanted to have you here ask you a couple questions about Ink Master, about tattooing in general. Pull up your list.
No,
we've been
we were kind of like already starting, to talk in the back and just kind of get into your Ink Master experience, but
literally like 10 drinks in right now, sweating my ass off.
I know, I just got here and I'm already like stumbling up the stairs. Like, all right, guys.
It's rosé.
But yeah, I mean, maybe I will pull up my phone because now I'm nervous.
I know.
Don't be nervous. It's just me. I feel like I'm one of the easiest people to talk to because I can just talk.
You have such a great quality. I wanted to say this. Just making people feel comfortable, and I feel like I already know you, even though we did meet the one time, but you have such a great quality. It's a great quality to have as a tattoo artist too, like talking with clients and making them feel comfortable with touching their body and everything. So did you feel like you always had that skill, or
honestly, I didn't think that it was much of a I was just being me, right? Mm-hmm. So I never really thought much of it until, more recently I was just like, you know what, that really is kind of like my superpower, is just being able to just be and feel like whenever I go into a space, I always feel like I hold my own space. You know what I mean? Yeah. And also allow others to share that space too, because sometimes you can go into a room and sometimes, for example, I met you guys at Golden State. Golden State is one of those places where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm nobody. Nobody knows who I am. Like, I'm just like this random kid that's like, whatever. I'm like, I'm 25. I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm like, just trying to navigate the space or whatever. But it's like, in that kind of environment, I had a good mix of people who are kind of just like figure it out kid, and others that were just like, hey, this is what you do, whatever. And that to me is always, I feel like lasts a longer impression, right? Is the person who's like the nicest to you, the person that's just like, no matter who you are, no matter what your status, mm-hmm. right? Like there's some people who like really just think that, oh, like I have like X amount of followers or whatever, like don't even talk to me. It's mm-hmm. like me, I'm like, I don't care. And that doesn't like, to me, we're people. Like, let's just exist. Let's have a good time. Let's be normal people. So I feel like that's always been my thing. I'm just like, I try and make it as mm-hmm. easy and breezy, beautiful as it can be.
And Golden State's so intimidating. You know how it is. I mean, us even going near her, even, mm-hmm. after all these years, still gets nervous. You're walking by someone you looked up to for years and you're like, oh my God.
Dude, literally.
And they're normal.
I was in line and I saw Deanna.
Mm-hmm.
She's so incredible. One of the nicest freaking people I've ever met. Like, I had talked to her, I was like, oh my God. You're Deanna, and she's like, I am. And I was like, oh my God.
So sweet.
And we were just talking for a little bit, and she was so nice. And then I saw her again in Vegas when we went for the finale of Ink Master. Talked to her, and she's so sweet. Like, she is a phenomenal artist. Like, if you have mm-hmm. not seen her work, like, look her up. She is incredible. But yeah, no, she's one of the nicest people ever. And that I feel like she's another person who also does the same thing, who holds that same space because, that's just her. Mm-hmm. That's just genuinely her. And I think that is a great quality, especially like not only as like an artist, but just a person in general.
Yeah, just kindness.
Yeah, because I met some people who are amazing tattoo artists who are just ugly people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that to me is like, you can have the most beautiful artwork, but be an ugly person. And that just, further makes you mm-hmm. kind of ugly, it's just not cute. You want to be cute, you don't want to be ugly. That's like not the vibe.
Yeah.
So like even people like clients, right, who have just phenomenal work, like, oh my God, that's such a cool tattoo, who did it? And they're like, but
just had a bad experience.
And that is something
we have so many of those just in our city.
Mm-hmm. All over the place. Mm-hmm. All over the place. I'll see that, people who just have like bad experiences with artists, and it's just like, that's so unfortunate, because not only are they paying for your time and your artistry and whatever, but it's like tattooing goes so much more than that. It's an experience. And if you don't give that person a good experience, then it's like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? You're in customer service. I always say that too. Like, you're in customer service. You have to learn how to deal with people, talk to people. She's come such a long way too. Like, she was a very nervous, shy person. We both were, but like, especially in tattooing, just seeing her journey has been so crazy. How she can navigate a conversation, get people to understand the art and understand why she's doing what she's doing. It's so crazy. And it really is an art, persuasion, all that. So
yeah, no, and just talking, having a conversation and making them feel like comfortable. Because I mean, when I go into a tattoo appointment with someone who I don't really know, I'm just like, hey, like, even though as like a tattoo artist, you know what I mean? Sometimes it could be like an unfriendly type of environment. There was a situation I had last year where I had a guest spot that I was supposed to do in LA, and it fell through. So the last minute, it was like 2 weeks before I was supposed to be out there. I have clients lined up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to find a shop. I don't know. I'm not well connected like that. I don't know people. This is before the show and everything. Damn. So I had called around. I called around shops in that area, well-known tattoo shops that I had called that treated me like nothing. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you treat your clients? Yeah. Because I called and it was like the most intimidating thing I think I've ever done. You know, I'm like, hey, my name is such and such. Like, I'm an artist that's from this area. I have clients already lined up. I just need someone to like, let me tattoo there. Like, I'm willing to, whatever the percentage or booth rent may be, I'm totally down to like do whatever. And I had people that were just like well-known shops that they were just like, if we call you back, then it's cool. If not,
what?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
It was wild. I was just like, dude, that's crazy. Like, and even like just them answering the phone, not talking to them or whatever. And they're just like, yeah.
That's crazy.
What do you mean? Yeah. Hello. Hi, how are you? This is da-da-da-da-da. Like, yeah. What do you mean? So it's very intimidating. So that's something that like I pride myself on, is just like being able to make people feel comfortable, especially because I get a lot of queer people and a lot of women and really cool straight guys, really cool straight people. Like, they still come to me. So come to me if you're a bro. I can bro it up for you. I'll But yeah, I think that's something that's very important, because especially nowadays, there's so many tattoo artists in this industry that if you're not a great person, they're gonna go to someone else. And I think it's a red flag if you don't see like people coming back to a person. If you're just seeing the one and done type of tattoo, then that's like, maybe
there's something going on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I was going to ask you, what's been your experience though with like shop cuts, like booth rent, or not booth rent, but like, is it crazy? Like, are they charging an insane amount?
So, it depends. I actually haven't had that bad of like an experience when it comes to that. I feel like standard, if they do percentage, is about 30%. You're lucky if you get like cheaper than that. I have one coming up that's like 20%, which I was like, sick. Or I've had to where they're homies of mine and they're just like, just give me $100 a day or $200 a day. And I'm like, okay, that's about
so sweet, 10
to 20%. That's cool. Yeah. That to me, I feel like is dope, because you want to, for me personally, as a person who's guesting, it's like, I want to go to a place and feel like I'm actually still being able to make some money, instead of it being like, obviously you're learning from the other people, whatever, which is cool about guesting. But it's like, I wouldn't want to return to a place that it was already such a big cut. Yeah. Especially like up and down like Northern California, right? Like, I could just have my clients come to my shop, to the shop that I work at in Manteca, right? But I want to go and I want to guest at, in SAC, in SF, and wherever. So, especially now that I'm planning on moving to LA, I want to go, like, whenever I come back, I want to try these different shops and be like, hey, like, let me guest there. Like, I want to come here one day, nudge, wink, wink. Like,
we got you. Of course. Yeah. What's inspired the move to LA? So just being on the show?
No, actually. So funny story. Before I had gotten the call for the show and everything, I was planning on moving to LA that year. So I was planning on moving to LA last year, both me and my boyfriend. And, because the way that we had planned things, it was like he was going to graduate from college, and then we were going to like move to LA, because that's what we kind of planned to do. Yeah. Because, even though I'm from Tracy, I go to San Jose all the time. I go there like every week, because he lives in San Jose. And my family's also out in San Jose. So I would go back and forth, every week, every other week out there. So I'm like, I don't want to move to San Jose, because I feel like I've already lived here. All my family lives here, all that. Like, I don't want to too much. So I want to go far. I want to go and try and experience somewhere else. So I was like, LA, it'll push me to be like in a bigger place. And there's so much competition there, but also so much room to grow. Because there's so much
there's great artists in LA. Crazy artists.
Many especially black and gray artists, which kind of makes me worried.
It is scary for like your market and everything, but
but it might be amazing. There's no one like me. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, and that's, I feel like, the mentality that you have to have as a tattoo artist, especially nowadays, is like you have to believe it to the very end. and just kind of live in that delusion. I live in my delusion.
Oh, we live. Yeah. No, we say that too. So delusional.
You have to, because if not, then it's like,
no one else is going to. Exactly.
Yeah. If you're not selling it to yourself, no one's going to buy it. So, you know, I had already planned on making the move out to LA, and then I got the call for the show, and I was like, well, that put a backseat on that. Yeah. So all the money that I had saved up for LA and everything, I was like, I'm going to fucking travel this year, especially after everything that's happened with the show, which we'll get into later.
We'll get into it.
But, yeah, I've always wanted to live in LA or kind of like be in that area, especially for entertainment, because I really want to be in entertainment, whether it's tattoo related, not tattoo related. I just love things with media. I love, you know, content. I love YouTube and photography, videography. It's an art form in itself. And I really enjoy it. Fashion, all of that. And all of that is there. It's a mixing pot, especially because my specific type of artwork that I enjoy is Chicano artwork. And that is so heavily influenced in LA. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, even the shop.
It's a birthplace.
Yeah. Even the shop that I'm going to go to. It's called Sepulveda Tattoo Studio in Duarte, California. Hit me up. But everybody there does like Chicano fine line, black and gray, to different variations of it, their own kind of take on it. And I love that. You know, from the get-go, I already felt like a sense of community, because that's very important to me, is like, I don't want to just go to any shop and not feel like any sort of connection. So I was like, wow, like I'm also going to be able to work on my Spanish too. Cause like I can speak it. I can understand it better than I can speak it, but I'm like just being in that environment with other,
just immersed in it.
Yeah, immersed in it, and just kind of like
that's how you learn.
So I'm very excited for that. But yeah, I was planning on moving before the show, and then afterwards I was like, okay, I need to build back up, and then I need to send out there, because it's when you move, you're having to build from ground zero, right? And I built my business out in Northern California for the past 7 years. So now I have to go to LA, and that's why I've been taking so many trips to LA, because I'm like, I've got to build up the clientele, because, you know, I've got to be able to support myself out there, because if not, it's expensive. It's
that's what I plan on doing when I move to Seattle. I'm like, I got to have a big build up for like a year. That's why I talk about it as much as I can. And just I'll start promoting out there, guest spotting out there, doing what I can to get my name out there too.
Just make an easier transition.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and that's been our issue with, you know, artists picking up and coming here too. It's been hard to get them booked out, because they've spent years establishing their clientele in a different state or a different part of the state. And it just takes time. It really does.
Even if you were to move from like, you know, like an hour difference, right? You have to build up, because like if I were to move to like San Jose, I would still like, I mean, actually that's a lie, because all my clients kind of come from the Bay Area. But you know, it's like if you were to make the move from like SAC to San Jose or whatever, it's like you have to build your Bay Area clientele, right? Because SAC has its own kind of thing. But one thing I'm really excited about for moving to LA is the fact that it is a destination, right? So I always feel so bad. I have clients who travel to me from all out of the state. You know, I've had clients from Oregon, New Mexico, Colorado, Texas, all these different places, and they happen to come to Manteca, and they're like, what's there to do here?
But that's why it's so important to give them that experience and that like good customer service and that good, like, to really just push that, because they're going to come back and they're not going to see it as like, oh, that was a waste of time. That was a waste of money. I wish I didn't do that. Just even just off the experience of you talking with them, getting to know them. And not to mention too, if I travel to that state, I got a client.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Which is the best thing, right?
Because exactly. I didn't even think of it like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How long you been tattooing?
7 years. It'll be 8 years in March.
So and you're 25. So you started at like 18.
Yeah, I started at 18. I'll actually be 26 this Friday.
Ooh,
But yeah, so I started at 18. I was a senior in high school and I started tattooing.
Nice.
Yeah, so my kind of foot in the door in the industry was a rough start, because the person that had originally apprenticed me, I had my apprenticeship for about a month, and then he just dipped. He left the state. He dipped to Oregon because like I.
Did he even tell you?
No, but it turns out I think the Hells Angels or something were like after him, and I was like,
it's a fucking movie.
Yeah, I was like, where am I? I told my mom about it, and they're like, son, are you safe? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm in Manteca. I didn't think it was that big of a difference. But yeah, so then my mentor, Chris, he was like, you could stay, you could go. I don't really give a shit. And I'm like, oh, can I stay, please? Please, can I stay? So I did. I stayed, and it was a very hands-off apprenticeship. Like, even though I did have like a mentor, I learned everything myself. I learned everything from just watching, because it was like I had one day where he was like, this is how you line, this is how you shade. That's it. Like, this is how you set up your station.
I would fold. Dude, I would fold so bad.
Yeah, but I was like, I want this so bad. I want this more than anybody or anything that I've ever wanted in my entire life. And I'm like, I will do whatever it takes. And, you know, the first freaking, 3 years I was working, I was giving 50% of what I was making to, you know, my mentor and everything. And I was just like, I wasn't learning. I wasn't really growing as much. Obviously, I was growing as fast as I could, but it was hard because, I'm in Manteca of all places, and it's like there's not much walk-in traffic, whatever. So I was like having to do whatever, and it was just all word of mouth. So, I mean, I'm very lucky that now, you know, in that area or the Central Valley, everybody is like, oh, you know, I'm the guy to go to, which is cool. But I'm like, I need to expand more because I feel like I've learned everything I could possibly learn where I'm at. Yeah. And I think that's why I made the push to want to go to Ink Master, because I was like, well,
you need a challenge.
I need a challenge, and I want to be around other like-minded artists that are just like, they're in a point of their career where they feel like this is the next push, which was crazy because, you know, I was in the competition with a lot of well-known tattoo artists. I was with, you know, John Mesa, Bobby, Jenna, freaking who else would I consider like freaking that I've known for years. Just everybody there. They were at a point
they were established.
Established. You know, everybody had tattooing for a while to where they feel like this is the next push. And to me, it was inspiring seeing people who are just like, you know, I had a conversation with Jenna, and she was like, I feel like so kind of like I'm in the same kind of doing the same things, and I want to push myself as an artist. And I'm like, she's a world famous tattooist, an amazing artist, and no one can touch her in the lane that she's built for herself. But the fact that after all these years she wanted to push herself further, that to me is inspiring. And that to me, those are the artists I want to be around, because those are the artists that have that longevity and that will continue to have that longevity because they've not only established themselves in that specific lane, but they want to grow further.
They're always a student to the
and that's
game,
the biggest takeaway from any artist. Anyone who's been doing it long enough can tell you that they're always a student. Because the second you think that you know everything,
that's what they live by. And then obviously there's so many different styles. And so, you know what, you get tired, and so many artists do this. You get tired in a specialty and you're like, fuck it, I'm going to literally go from black and gray to Japanese, to traditional Japanese, and just completely change up. And I mean, it's what keeps you passionate about it. You know what I mean? And that's what they've taught me so much too. Just always reinforcing that you're always learning. Yeah. Like even them, she's always learning different techniques. You're learning from so many different artists. Anytime you guest spot, that's why I am interested in guest spotting too. You learn so many, there's so much. Even artists that you think maybe aren't even that good, you can learn something from.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I live by that. Is that, you know, I always hate when people kind of discount the person who is like the younger person or the person who hasn't been doing it that long, because I was that person, and I continue to be that person, because I remember, you know, telling people, you know, X, Y, and Z, you could change your marketing by this, you could do that. Yeah. And they would totally like, you know, push me off, whatever. And I'm like, I have a full ass bachelor's degree in marketing from San Jose State, and you're not going to like take anything from me. It's cool. But it's like, cause I could see that. I see the holes in the business. I see the holes in, you know, if someone does a black and gray tattoo or someone does art, you know what I mean? I have a good art background, and, you know, you could see it. And you could see where you can make improvements. And, you know, sometimes people don't want to take it because they've been tattooing for so long. Well, don't take it. But that's fucked up. You know what I mean? And I think that you could learn from anybody, because there's people who get into it who are artists, like fine artists who get into this industry, and they're still learning different things. And there's like this whole idea that like painterly type tattoos, there's no place in the industry, whatever. But it's like, no, if you have good contrast, you have good fundamentals in your tattoo, anything can last.
There's a place for everything.
There's a place for everything in that. And it's like, it takes those people to enter the industry to then change the game, right?
Make your own lane of tattooing. Yeah. It's what Deanna did, I think.
Yeah, that's what Nico did. Nico, I you know, had a conversation with Nico, and he was like, you know, when I first started tattooing, I was the person that a lot of my, you know, my colleagues would be like, dude, what are you doing? This doesn't have an outline on it. It's not going to last. Well, he's got tattoos that are 20 years old or whatever, however old, and they're portraits and they're color, and they still hold because they have enough contrast around them. And you don't need a line. You just need enough contrast that's built up to where, you know, you have the shapes there, right? Even if you have to go into it after so many years, right? I mean, the skin breaks down pigments no matter what kind of tattoo you have, black and gray color, definitely. Over a certain amount of time. Depending on how long that person's in the sun, all these different variables, you're going to eventually need to go back into it. But that's just growth, right? You know, sometimes you see tattoos. I'll see tattoos that I did towards the beginning of my tattooing, and I was like, God, that was a bad decision. Yeah. God, that was bad composition, or that was bad whatever. And it's like you're constantly learning, but you know, you can find knowledge anywhere, even in apprentices. When you're teaching someone, I'm sure you can agree by you know, helping other artists that are in the shop, maybe even by teaching Charlie, by, you know, saying these different fundamentals or these different art fundamentals, right? By teaching it, you're also reinforcing that knowledge and learning yourself again too, because it's like, oh, you know what? That makes sense. Yeah. You know, it connects different things in your brain by just teaching someone. So I think that, you know, it's a constant growth.
Yeah, definitely. How long did your apprenticeship last? Or because you said it was really hands off. So was there even like
I feel like it was kind of just like, I told my mentor, I was like, listen, it's me, because it was 3 of us in the shop. It was me, Chris McPherson, and Vinny Menchaca, Vinny. And Vinny's my boy. I love him to death. He's like a brother to me. And we started kind of at the same time. He was like finishing his apprenticeship and I was just starting. And even then he was like trying to teach me what he had just learned. Right. And, he was like, this is kind of what you have to do, man. Like, this is how you pull a line and whatever. And, he does like more lettering and more like, dot work type of, Chicano artwork and stuff. And, I would take everything I can from everybody that was around me and just from online, I soak everything up like a sponge. I'm a very quick learner. So I told him, I was like, listen, you're going to go broke. If you do not let me tattoo, you're going to go broke because it's just you and Vinny that are supplying this entire building, right? So it's like, if you don't have me helping contribute to the shop, what am I doing here? So I'm like, let me start tattooing. And he was like, whatever. So I would honestly say my apprenticeship was maybe like less than 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because even then I was always drawing, always trying to like tattoo on practice skin, oranges, grapefruit. Nobody would tell me anything. I would just do it on my own. Because to me, I've always been that person that's like, I'm a go-getter. If I want to do it bad enough, I'll do it. Same thing with Ink Master, right? I had always told myself, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. And I was there.
Yeah.
Quick, but I was there. I made a cameo.
Yeah.
I cried a little bit, had my moment. I said,
no, we all were crying with you.
Yeah. No. Yeah. How was that watching my episode
I know.
as a viewer?
Well, I was so shocked when we first saw you on. They were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
like, just freaking out, like,
so
"Oh my god, we know him!"
Yeah, but no, it felt like robbery. I was like, "No way!" Like, why is he off right now? Because there were way worse tattoos in that first episode that should have been. They should have like gone in way harder on those other artists.
I'm like, take names. Yeah. Like, I'm like, tell me who.
I'm messy.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk after.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I let me put it out there. I love every single one of my castmates. Like, so anything that I say, please take it with a grain of salt because I don't even think I would say anything bad because I love everybody there because I genuinely, everybody got along so well. And I think that's what, behind the scenes kind of frustrated them a little bit because we all just liked each other and we're artists at the end of the day.
But you kind of got to be catty on screen.
Yeah, it's TV. You know what I mean? There's parts of it that you have to like, no, if it was just about the art, it'd be kind of boring to people, right? Yeah. Because it's like, oh, look at the sick line, right? Like the average person's not going to be like, that was a clean line.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, cool, man. It's like, no, let's fight. Let's do it. Which I'm going to say, I wish they kept me on because I was giving full telenovela. So okay, I'm gonna give you guys some tea. So you could see it in my elimination when I had gotten the boot and whatever. No one told me to stand up or anything, but I was like, thank you. I stood up and you could see it. I turned back around and I was tears in my eye and I was fully just like, this won't be the last time you ever see me. And then walked away. But they cut that out and I was like, that would have been so cut. That would have been so everything because it was like the full telenovela, everything. Yeah. And I like...
You rehearsed that?
What? I was literally... Oh no, I rehearsed the whole thing. I was going to give like a whole like heartfelt type of thing because I was like, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out with like,
like let me get my time.
Yeah. And I was
like... They can remember you.
Yeah, I was that genuinely, right? And it was such a polarizing moment because I've never cried that hard. Like I'm not a crier or anything, but when you're in that kind of environment, it is crazy. Like I was so out of control of my emotions in my body. I felt like it was such an out of body experience because it was like, what do you mean I'm going home first of all people? And then what do you mean that you're telling me that I fucking suck and that I'm like in front of a room? I didn't say it like that. Like don't get me wrong. But they definitely, of everybody, I got the harshest critiques and I was like, why are y'all going in on me so hard when
first episode they were trying to prove something? I don't know.
Yeah, because even in the room, everybody was really confused at the fact that I got home. You can even hear like when I got eliminated, people were like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Because fundamentally, I don't think my tattoo is the worst. Yes, I'm fully not delusional. I know that there was a lot of shortcomings in my tattoo because there were a lot of things behind the scenes that kind of happened that were just not put in, which is fine. And we'll touch on that a little bit later. But, no, like definitely, I fully agree that my tattoo was not to par. And I think that I, as a person who I have a lot of integrity for what I do. And like I said earlier, if I can't buy it, I'm not I can't sell it. Right. So I couldn't even sell it to myself. I was like, me going up there and trying to defend my work. I'm like, I see everything wrong with it. I understand. So it sucks.
Just accountability.
Yeah, I take accountability because to me, it's like, it sucks because that's not a representation of who I am. I'm a great artist. I'm a great artist outside of the competition. But in that environment, it's like, it really pushes you to a different point of yourself. Right. And it really did. Leaving there, it crushed me, and I felt like a part of myself died that night. Like, to be honest, like it sounds very like, morbid or whatever, but I felt like a part of my soul hardened, genuinely, because I felt like I went in there such a genuine person. I'm still me at the end of the day. I feel like I'm still me, but I felt like the part of myself that wanted to believe so much and seeing the kind of reality of everything that happened, I was just like, okay, this happened. How can I kind of move forward, or how can I kind of like reflect? And I honestly, it took me a month to kind of get back to work. It took me like, not only because I had rescheduled all my appointments for that period of time, but it was like, I needed time to really reflect on myself as an artist, because I didn't think it was going to have that big of an impact on me, but it really broke me down to my core, to where I was like, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. And maybe that's okay. You know what I mean? I got to a point to where I was like, it's okay to look at yourself as an artist and see where you could improve on and just get better. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, as a tattoo artist, it's a difficult industry to be in, because no matter how good you are, you're going to have people who are even clients of yours who maybe sometimes don't like the service, and you think you provided the best service, but it's just a person, right? Like, not everyone's going to vibe with you. Not everyone's going to like you. And you have to be okay with that and be able to be like, you know what? I am who I am. I do what I do, and I'm good at what I do. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's not for everybody. There's plenty of artists out there. If you don't vibe with me, whatever, cool. But I'm still going to love who I am and what I do. And that's a constant kind of battle that you're going to face as an artist, as not only an artist, but a tattooer, because we do something that's permanent on someone, right? So at the end of the day, if, I tear myself to shreds, especially after the show.
I feel like any good artist does, honestly.
Yeah.
And you have to, because if you don't, then it's like, how are you going to improve for the next person? And every day after I do a tattoo, I'll look at it and I'm like, that should have been sharper. That should have been this. That should have been that. And it visually, great tattoo. And I'm sure that, the client doesn't see any different or whatever, but us as artists, it's like you see those shortcomings or those parts in a tattoo that aren't as strong, or, you see, I should have shifted this over a little bit. I should have done this or whatever, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. You know what I mean? Same thing with the show. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But it happened and it sucks. But you know what? I was there. 25 years old. I was the only one who applied. I was the only one who got there. I beat out hundreds of thousands of people to get there. And I think that that's something that I, at the end of the day, will hold my head high, because no one else there is like me, and there's no one who's going to be like me. And you know what? I hope that I get the chance to eventually return, because that return would be so cunty.
Yeah, I would love it.
There's nowhere else but up. Like, I mean, I can't do worse unless they fucking give me the boot again, which knock on wood. But like, I think that if I were to go back, I think I would be so much better, because the worst already happened to me. Yeah. Right. And the thing that sucks that there was so much pressure on me that, in that day, and the way I cried so much was, like I said earlier, I was planning on moving to LA. So I was planning, okay, babe, I'm going to go on the show. I know that we're planning on moving to LA, but if this works out in my favor, I'm going to have clientele already built out there, because the show's going to be airing X amount of weeks. I'm planning on being there every single week. Right. But that didn't end up panning out. So it was like, I'm going to constantly be able to like market myself and all this and all that. And before I had left, I filmed a series of videos. I filmed a series of YouTube videos, showcasing I could do every different style, because I can. And I did. And it sucked, because when I had went on the show, I had creatively exhausted myself, because weeks before then I was doing, different styles. Right. And when you train your mind to do these different styles, it's hard, because, I'm doing Japanese, traditional, surrealism, realism, Chicano fine line, black and gray, color realism, neo-traditional, all these different styles. But I'm a black and gray artist, right? I'm a black and gray realism artist. And I enjoy doing that. And my biggest regret was I did my last tattoo that I did before I had went onto the show. I was like, this feels like the most like me. And I could have used that tattoo the first day, because I already had it designed. Wow. But in my head was just like, I already tattooed that on someone. So it's like, I don't want to give that, put that on someone else. Right. But it was, I'm sure I could have, and the person would have been fine with it. But to me, I just have so much integrity as an artist that I'm like, I don't want to just reproduce something I already did. Yeah. But it sucked, because that would have been a fire tattoo to do for the beginning tattoo. I could have done a few of those tattoos that I had done before. But I didn't. So shoulda, coulda, woulda. And it sucks. The thing that sucked the most was that series that I had filmed didn't use any of it. Oh, I can't even put those out there, because I didn't film enough. I didn't film enough of my process, because I was so focused on so many different parts of it that it's like, I'm my only person, right? I'm the videographer. I'm the person setting up the cameras in 3 different directions. I'm the person that's also tattooing. I also have to make sure that I'm like tattooing within this 6-hour time frame that I would be given on the show. So I'm like trying to do all these different things and wear all these different hats. So I creatively exhausted myself before being on the show. Damn. And then the first day, it's like I could have done all those different things, but I didn't. And why? Because there's also so much politics that goes into when you tattoo on a show. Because right, you when you're outside of the show, you could do whatever references you want. You could use people's faces. You could do all these things differently, right? But when you're there, it's based off of what you're allowed to use. It's based off of what.
Oh, you don't get free like.
So you, to a certain extent, right? You're able to, but when you're doing a face, for example, right? I illustrated a lot more because there's a potential. You're using someone's likeness, you can get in trouble for that. So I was like, oh well, I don't want to get in trouble for that. So I'll just illustrate a little bit more. And I had, designed that tattoo like on the plane ride there, right? Like I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna like, whatever. And that was the last design that I had of my kind of designs. And I was like, well, it's not necessarily like my favorite type of thing, but I'm just like, well, if I thought in the back of my head, if I get eliminated, at least it would be something that I would want to do more of, right? Because that's kind of the mindset that they had you. It was like, you should be okay with what you do, because at the end of the day, if you go home, be okay with doing more of that when you get back. Because that's what people are going to know you for. And I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, I hope people know me for better tattoos than that. So, shit happens and it sucked, but it's just a part of my story. And anything that's ever happened in my life, I've always had to work for. I've always had to work hard for. And I think that I'm just going to have to work that much harder to get back. And I was really glad after the fact, I created this full back piece that I'm so proud of, that I dropped the day of my elimination the day after, because they were just like, well, wait to post anything before, let people have a chance to post to watch it. And then after they started posting clips and whatever, and I was like, no, this is my shit. This is what I do. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm taking control of my narrative because I'm not a bad tattoo artist. And I hope that people know that, and they have the intelligence to look beyond the screen. That's why I filmed the whole video, kind of just my truth behind everything, and whether that rubbed people the wrong way or whatever, I don't care. Because
did you feel like you got a lot of hate from the show? No,
I feel like there was. Of course, there's like those people that were just like, cry baby.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my god, like you
what about it? It's like have that kind of pressure on you. Millions of people watching you in the most vulnerable moment possible. Because it's like, I'm not a crier. I'm not a person that is sad or whatever. I'm a very just a sunshine person. Yeah. I feel like there's people who are, gray cloud energy, and I'm very sunshine energy. So even on the show, I felt like they captured a certain aspect of me, but it was like only to fit kind of like their narrative. And it's the first episode, right? Yeah. They have to introduce 15 other people. So it sucks, but I would hope that they would bring me back, because it would only make sense for them. It makes sense in my fantasy, but you know what I mean? But just to continue, so I'm very thankful for the opportunity. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt, because I'm very thankful to Ink Master for even allowing me to be on the show, because, to find me out of hundreds of thousands of people and to see me as the star that I am, you know what I mean? Like to give me that chance, I fucked it up.
Are you a Leo?
No, I'm an Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius.
Wow. You're like, damn.
No, I'm just a very like, you gotta have some sort of delusion. And I'm very delusional,
everyone does. You have to.
So
if you're gonna promote a business and promote yourself,
especially what we're doing, you have to put yourself out there. To put yourself out there, you have to have just that confidence in yourself, because again, if you're not buying it, who's gonna buy it?
What I've had to be more comfortable with is like just being corny. Like I have to be so comfortable with being corny, and it goes against everything, like all your shame, all your whatever. And that's what I'm like trying to break out. I'm like, should I post this? It's fucking stupid, you guys, what do you think? And then they're just like, no, they're all delusional like me. So
you have to. Nowadays it's like, dude, I see so many like TikToks or reels that are just like, it's a recycling kind of like thing of what we have to do. But it kind of is what it is. Actually, we blew up on the same sound. And really? I think it's really cool. It was both of us. I actually have a screenshot. I can send it to you guys. Me and Justin were the top for this sound. They took us off. They took us off because because you got like, I think like 3 or 4 million. I have 1 million.
Ooh,
and it was like, we popped off on this sound, which was cute. And I was like, look at us. So tight. But we got more views and likes than like the person who actually made the sound. So they took us off, which is so boo-boo that.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Oh my God.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I was like, that's so cool.
She had a whole spike. Like,
yeah. Girl, you went from like 60,000 to freaking like 200 and something thousand. So kudos. Cheers to you.
Yeah.
Cheers to you.
And people think that's fake, but I'm like, it happens. It just happened. And we were all freaking out at the shop.
Yeah. I just hit the one good one and then just tried to keep that momentum. And I was like, what
and then other people, like Crystal at her shop too, started popping off. She gained like thousands of followers too. And it's just, you just gotta hit it right at the right time.
And you have to ride that momentum for all that it is. Cause
like Eat Master for you too. Ride as much as you can.
And it's so good that you just had the content. You just let's take it out, you know.
Yeah, no, I was trying as much as I could. I will say it's like, I mean, I'm sure that you guys feel this as well as like creatives, as content creators, as artists, that it just becomes a lot. It becomes a lot, and it can be very mentally taxing. So, you know, for a lot of it, especially like after everything had aired, even before leading up to it, I was like, fuck, there's all these people who are so excited for me to be there. So many people who are like, I felt like a part of me, I was just like, I'm letting them down because they're so excited. And I'm like so excited too. And I should be very proud and excited. You know, it's such a life-changing experience. But it was like, I didn't do well. I didn't feel like it was a good representation of myself. I will say I look cute on camera. I look cute on camera. That's why you're glowing. At least I didn't look bad. But, you know, it was what it was. And I had a bunch of different highs and lows with it, because there was also like, you know, I'd post content, and even the one that like we had popped off on, right? Like I had posted like, you know, oh, you're on Ink Master, but you like suck, right? Because you were eliminated first. No, because I'm actually really good. You know, like it's cringe, but it's like, you're like, say that to my million views.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't care. So
to your engagement.
Yeah. So it's highs and lows.
Oh yeah.
So I try and write it as much as I could, but it's also like at a certain point, is like I want to produce artwork or show artwork out there that I'm like proud of and that I'm excited of. And like what we do is large scale black and gray, right? And it sometimes projects take longer, and I don't like to post in progress work. You know what I mean? Because then it's like it's not the full scape of what it's supposed to be.
That's why we do the back-to-back thing.
Which is a good, but also in the economy, right? It's sometimes it can be more difficult for people because it's like everything is so expensive.
Yeah. And I feel like that type of content, like a in progress shot, it doesn't even perform well. And so if you're really trying to look at it from that perspective, it's like, okay, who am I appealing to? Like other artists will appreciate the in progress work, but a client isn't going to see it and think the same thing. They're just like going to see it and keep scrolling. So it's like, you have to be smart with what you're posting. And
and it's also one of those things too that I also try and remind myself, right, is that there's this idea of the spotlight effect, right? So you could post something and think that everybody saw it, but really no one did. So that's why you recycle your content, right? That's why, like, you know, you could do different parts of your video, but then like include different, you know, video shots or pictures of your tattoos that you've done before, because sometimes people haven't seen them, right? Because engagement, whatever.
Yeah.
So just recycling content, but there's only so many times you could do that with those same tattoos.
I know.
It's like,
I mean, pushing it.
Yeah. I'm like, but this back piece is so good, and it took so long to do. Like, let me just put it out there a few more times.
Yeah, like just in case.
Yeah.
I understand it though. You don't want to just post it once and be like, okay, no one's gonna see it again.
Yeah, it's like that was like 30 hours of work. Yeah. That's 20 hours of work, or however many hours of work. It's like,
there's always a new audience you're gonna reach too. Like even with the back piece and everything, like how viral that went. You guys are still posting it 'cause it's like, fuck it, there's more people.
And like all I have is the pictures and videos of it, and so I want to share that still. Like I don't walk around with the back piece with my client all the time. So it's like, I don't know.
That's what artists get out of it, is the picture. Yeah. How do you deal with those like creative spikes and then the drops? Like we struggle really bad with it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I struggle pretty hard with it. I think that it's all in having a work-life balance, right? Because at a certain point, I kind of realized too, after achieving like going on Ink Master, right? That was like my biggest goal for the longest time. And then after kind of having it be not as great, I was like, fuck, dude, like that put a lot of things in perspective, right? So I think as long as you're booked, blessed, and busy, that's all that matters, right? Because at the end of the day, if, you know, who cares about the numbers? Who cares about the likes? Yes, at a certain point, they make you feel some type of way. But once you achieve those certain milestones, it's like, okay, what's next? Are you happy? No. You know what I mean? Like if you're not happy in your actual day-to-day life, you're never going to be happy. Yeah. And that's something that I've had to try and like.
So then that inner work comes in.
Yeah. Because it's like, you know, yes, I wish I had bigger numbers or this and that. And right. Like who's to say I'm not successful, right? That's only determined by me. But at the end of the day, I kind of started to realize like, well, I hit, you know, this milestone. I could still achieve these other numbers, which would be great, you know, cool. But behind the scenes, you know, I just want to be booked, blessed, and busy.
Dude, and
That's
remember,
it.
you're 25.
Yeah.
You're
Oh
25.
my God, I try to tell myself that all the time.
Yeah.
I try to tell myself that. I'm just like, okay, you're only 25.
You're telling
Yeah.
me, dude, I started my apprenticeship at 25. So I'm like, man, feeling so behind, feeling so like, oh my God, I'm around all these people who are like, you know, started when they were kids or started right at 18. And then you just feel like so, oh my God.
But you are also like starting in a great spot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because like,
of
I
course.
mean, shit. Like, look at people like Valentine, right? Valentine's only been tattooing for like, what, 4 years? 4 years, 5 years, like around that time, right? He's phenomenal. He's so good, right? And he is because he had really great artists around him, like you guys, right? Like, I wish that I had artists like you guys around when I was tattooing and starting up, because it was just me. It was me and my mentor, and it was like trying to learn from him and trying to learn from online. And, you know, 2016 was a different time in tattooing. It was kind of like that shift between, you know, people who were older and then people who were, you know, newer, and the people who were kind of like had to deal with like both ends of it. And I was the person who was having to deal with like the older and the newer. And I was still, you know, even though I was like new and everything, it was like I had to deal with. You
have some of those old values, but you have the new school approach too.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, I am one of those people that I believe what I believe in terms of like, you know, I think you know, even if you don't have a strong art background and you're getting into tattooing, learn.
Yeah,
me,
that's what I say.
It's all in learning, right? Yeah. I don't like if you know, if you go into the industry and you have no knowledge of art or tattooing, learn, because you should have those art fundamentals and really build those up, because that's going to make you a stronger tattooer. Yeah. Because nowadays there's people who don't have an art background, and that's fine, right? But don't be another person who's just doing these bare minimum type of tattoos.
Yeah, like the copy and paste, and
because there's so much of that. We don't need more of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need that. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, build yourself to be stronger and better, and kind of like push yourself hard, because in this industry you have to push yourself hard to stand out, because there's so many people who do a good black and gray tattoo. There's so many people who do a good realism tattoo, and it's not that impressive. Yeah. So what makes you different? What makes you special? And sometimes it's just who you are. So
yeah, I know.
I'm like, I'm gonna drink to that.
Yeah, seriously. That's definitely, there is a struggle with being at a shop this high when you're starting out too. And like me, I had no art background. Like, I was creative. I always say that, like, I was creative in other ways, in different jobs before, but definitely not in this way. I had no idea how to draw, no idea how to do anything. But and that's been my struggle too, is actually giving myself the credit too of like, oh, I did do the work to get here, because I always feel like, oh, I wouldn't even be tattooing without Jess. I wouldn't, like, you know, it's like, I don't know how to separate the like, oh, I did this.
The imposter syndrome.
Is that what it is?
I think that's what you're describing.
Because I'm like, I just don't feel like I even
you're like, how did I get here?
I don't know how I got here. I don't think I deserve anything. I don't think
but you do, right?
Because I do, but I'm like trying to speak that to myself.
You were always around it, right? You've always been creative in different ways, right? And I think that's something that's very important. And another thing too, just like how you said with me, like my personality thing, you and your personality as well, right? That's another thing that makes people feel very inviting. And that's something that's really great that you guys do this podcast, because you give people a different facet of your guys' personality. And I think that's very important, because people want to feel comfortable. They want to feel like they're in good hands. Like, not only is the work like phenomenal and everything, but it's like you want to show people like, hey, we can have a good conversation and just hang out. Because at the end of the day, it's like, to me, I feel like my tattoo appointments are therapy.
Oh yeah, it's just gossiping.
Yeah, it's like, so how's life? How you doing?
Tell me about your man. I don't know you, but I want to know all your business.
No, and I love it. I love how trusting people can be, and I think that's something that makes me so happy that people are so willing to share that, because I think that's such a special thing. Because even me, like I'll grow to be friends with a lot of everybody. Like all my clients, I'm friends with. I'd say I'm friends with everybody, and they get to know parts of me, and I get to know parts of them, and it's just like, sometimes we have overlaps that is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about connection. I feel like that's actually not talked about as much in our industry, but I think more, obviously it's about art, but we're connecting with our clients every day, and people, and whatever their art means to them and all of that.
Their
it's
story.
Like, super special.
Yeah, and then I always think this too, like just the touching aspect of you're touching these people in their personal space, and like they feel comfortable to have you.
Yeah, they're vulnerable, they're in pain, they're suffering.
That's why I feel like some people just come in and just word vomit like their whole life, and you're like, fuck it.
Same girl.
Like, I know, like, I'd be doing the same thing. Yeah.
I'm a good listener.
Yeah. I can be a good listener, a good talker, whatever you need.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I shouldn't say that.
I know.
But I'm like, whatever.
I know, I'm like, fuck it, whatever.
I'm like, that's the girl now.
You know, yeah, definitely. That's what we learned from Corey Miller. Like when we met him, like him just talking about like you have to know how to be with people if you're a tattoo artist. You have to know how to talk with them. Like he put us onto so much game too. It's just like
he seems like someone who's so cool. I've never personally met him, but he seems like such a genuine person. Is he as cool as he was like on yes. Oh, that makes me so happy.
He has so many stories.
Yeah, he's such a storyteller and super humble, really cool guy. And it was like, you know how people say like don't meet your heroes and stuff like that, but he was, you know, definitely like not disappointing at all. Like it was so
we left there
so
like
grateful.
Like we said, like we've talked about this before, but we fucking cried.
Yeah,
and
like I had to go to the bathroom and cry.
Yeah, literally, we both went to the, like, oh my god,
like they had no idea. We were like literally in his shop bathroom crying.
Yeah, and I was like. I was like, literally, stop, like telling myself in the mirror, like, stop fucking crying. But so
it's like
surreal.
to meet someone who was like your hero, right? Like, it's like I'm sure you know you guys watch
and it
like
exceeded
LA
your expectations.
Ink or all these different tattoo reality TV shows. Like same thing when I went to Inkmaster. Like I could genuinely say Nico is a really nice guy, Ryan's really cool, DJ's really cool, and that to me was like wow. Like I'm so glad that everything with camera and all that, and of course that's their job is they have to critique you and everything, but. Behind the scenes, they're all really nice people.
That's dope.
And that to me made me really happy because I'm like, wow, someone with that much status and everything. I was expecting like, like
a little more LA or a little bit more Hollywood.
Yeah. But no, they're all so genuine. And like Ryan is super nice. Like I think that in my interview, like, the No More Ink interview, you can kind of see
our decoration.
I'm like, I'm gonna pretend like we didn't just see that fall.
I just casually tried to pull it behind me.
Listen, I thought season 2 there was a little bit more.
Low budget. Okay.
But so Ryan is so sweet. Sometimes like I'll message her here and there and whatnot. And she's so cool, and she's just like a real person. Yeah. Same thing with Nico. He's really nice and he makes me laugh because like I went up to him at Golden State and I showed him the tattoo. I was like, he has to see this tattoo that I did because I have to
know I'm better.
Yeah, I'm like I'm better than this Nico, and he's like, oh, that's badass. Aww. And that's like his thing though. So, oh, it's a badass man. I love it because he's such a sweet guy and
he always struck me as that, like so kind. Even just walking around Golden State when I'd see him, I'd be like, oh my god.
He seems super humble too.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, you remembered my name? He's like, what's up, Joel? Like, how are you doing? And I was like,
yeah. Like, oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, you cried. You're like, no.
And I was like, oh, yeah, no, exactly, right. I was when he was next to me too, like when he was giving like critiques, like or like not even critiques, but like walking by, like all the judges walk by, which they cut out of the episode, but they would come by and I would just talk with them and everything. And I had like such cool moments with everybody, which I wish they showed because it was so cool to just get to talk to them.
Yeah, no, I hear like behind the scenes there's so much more. Like even don't you guys sleep in the same I thought you guys share. You don't?
No, we don't, which I'm so glad. That was like
used to,
that
right?
was the trenches of like of reality TV. But I think after COVID they kind of switched things up because you couldn't have like everybody in a room, so I think they changed all that afterwards. But no, so it was really cool. And like, I got along with everybody there. Like I love everybody behind the scenes. I made so many friends with like, people in production and all that. Cause they're just so nice and they treated me really nice. Like even like after I cried and everything and I got off stage, they had like a nice warm blanket for me and everything. And everybody was crying for me. I didn't know. So everybody on stage, everybody, people in the sound booth, everyone was crying when I got along.
Oh my God.
They were like, we didn't want you to go home. Like you are someone that we really wanted to do well. And I was like, that makes me so happy because that to me showed me like I made that much of an impact, right? And it was like,
it's your power.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I can leave here with my head held high because I left an impact on people, and people still, will like message me and be like, hey, how are you doing or whatever. Like whenever they come to Cali, they're like, I want to get tattooed by you or whatever, and I'm like, please do. Like I would love to. I would, or even if I'm out there, like I would love to hang out with you or whatever if I can. So
I love that you have that though. Do you feel like you had that from your parents growing up, or was that something you just instilled in yourself? That
I will say, I think that I'm very thankful for my family. I think that I'm a product of very supportive parents, and I think that that's something that you can clearly kind of sell because I have a different kind of delusional confidence, right? I mean, I'm obviously I'm not a cocky person, but I'm a very like a self-aware person, and I think that my parents holding space for me, and especially after all these years, right? Like I've had my ups and downs with my family, right? Especially with coming out and being gay. And I think that made our relationship a lot stronger because we did have some distance, between me being in high school and me being in college, between us. And it just made them kind of grow. And I think that them even growing and learning, I'm so thankful for because there's some people out there who their families, they don't adapt, they don't grow, and they just kind of see things one way. But they're like, at the end of the day, they're like, you're my son, and we love you.
That's all that matters.
And like even things with like, you know, me and tattooing, my mom did not
want
me to get
Mexican families, traditional.
They thought like, oh, it's a hobby or whatever, and I was like, psych, I may be getting this degree, but little do you know, I'm going back to doing art. But that was the thing, is I had to really prove to my family too, because my mom was not very happy with me being fully immersed in tattooing, because she was like, I thought that afterwards you were gonna get like a corporate job and whatever. And I'm like, why am I gonna help other people make money? Why am I gonna do that? Like, I can make more doing this than I can behind a desk making, you know, doing marketing for someone else.
And the freedom, and
because I'm like, I like to wear what I want to wear. I like to look cute. I don't
say whatever you want, like,
and your own schedule, obviously.
Do you feel like your sexuality affected you going into different shops, like you were the way you were treated and everything?
So at the beginning part of my apprenticeship, or the beginning part of just me and tattooing, I didn't say anything. I mean, clearly I'm very gay. I mean, it's hard to miss. Like, I'm very just like flamboyant. I'm me at the end of the day, and I own that. But I was very like, I didn't talk about it. I didn't, you know, anything, because that was something like I would hear the other guys, because when I first got into the shop, it was a traditional shop, right? So all these chatty guys that were just very like, you know, like tits and this and girls and then, like, I had to clean up all their beer cans and hear about all their misogynistic conversations, and I'm just like, ugh. But you know, I would keep it all hush hush until like finally, you know, this is after when I got my mentor, maybe a year into my tattooing, his wife had sat me down and was like, "You gay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I knew it. I love you." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then, you know, like,
it's out there.
They're very, very, you know, they're really cool. My mentor, you know, may he rest in peace. Really, really great guy, and just supported me in everything, and was just like, you know, I don't care that you're gay. And like, he even had like people who would come in, and he, you know, it's Manteca, right? So there's some people who are just very like closed-minded. And I remember there was this one client that he had who was like, you let him work here? You let that work here? And I was like, and me being like in the station right next to him, and he was like, yeah, why wouldn't I? He's a great artist. And like that never, he doesn't bring his personal bullshit in here. None of that. So why do I care what he does in his bedroom? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. Exactly. Like, who the fuck
does it affect
cares?
You that badly?
Yeah. And that to me is like, you know, I am one of those artists that, you know, there's not a lot of queer tattoo artists out there. And I would say that I'm one of like the like queer tattoo artists out there. And I rep it pridely, you know, with pride, because I didn't have that growing in this industry. I look to women. I look to female tattoo artists, you know, people like, you know, girl, you're a pioneer for the freaking girlies out in this area.
For this generation, for sure. Yeah,
for real. And I give you your flowers. Because you're an amazing artist. And I really look to female tattoo artists, because to me, it's like I felt like you had a similar struggle to like what I had, which was like just being and existing, right? And females, I felt like I always felt so bad, because it was like, oh, like they're the eye candy.
They're not taken serious as an artist.
Not taken seriously. And it's like, you know, people like on TV, like Tattoo Baby is forever. Like she's probably the first person I ever followed on Instagram. Yep. Because I look at her, and she's, you know, Latina, she's Colombian. And I was like, that to me felt like the first kind of representation. Cause like, I mean, yeah, there's Kat Von D, and you know, I watched that.
She was a little more of the
and she
old
you know,
school, and like the stereotype,
yeah,
females in the industry too.
Yeah,
like
I Tattoo Baby wasn't.
Yeah, and for that like era, like of
TV and tattooing and everything, and you know, I won't go into that because you know whatever. But to me, Tattoo Baby was like that, and she still is that girl. She is that girl, and
so bad.
She's the prime example of what I truly wish to be after Ink Master, right? Yeah. Is to me, like I had a conversation with Kevin Leroy about this, right? Is like, you as a brand, you don't want to heavily attach yourself to the one brand, right? Because to me, you yourself came there as an individual, and you can get out of this as an individual, and you need to, because those are the people who truly succeed and make a name for themselves, right? I want to make a name for myself outside of the show. And that's what I you know, it's just a platform, it's a launching pad, and it's something that, you know, we're all very grateful for. Everybody who's ever been on the show, everybody is so grateful for that opportunity. But it's like, you really need to take it that much further, because if you're just like going to conventions and you're still repping that, it's kind of just like,
you're just beating a dead horse.
Yeah. That's the problem with these like reality tattoo shows, is you get stuck in basically that character. They put the box they put you in. and you're not known as an artist, you're not known as anything, a person even outside of the show. You're just known for the drama that goes on that's not even real. Like the cheating, the fights, whatever. This shit is not real. Like, and people just totally believe it and they hate you for it.
Exactly. And like, look at Shine, for example. Prime example of like, he's someone who
got in, got out.
He got in and got out. And I admire that so much because it's like, look at what y'all have built, right? Like, look at this, look at where we're sitting, right? The beautiful shop and everything. And it's inspiring, and it makes me like want to push that much harder, because I'm like, that's going to be me. That's going to be me.
Oh,
yeah, so
and you're part of that too. I know she doesn't get enough credit for it too, but she definitely built the shop.
No, I didn't.
She built the shop too. Yeah, she's an imposter.
I was just here.
She has it.
She acts like she's not super cool.
She always struggled with that. I get it though. I get it. It's so hard to take compliments too, and I don't know, especially when you're not used to it. But I don't know.
Shit.
Sorry.
What's
our list?
No, I feel like we've hit on like so many things. I don't know. I think I mean, we kind of you already touched on it, but like just like the prep for the show, I was kind of interested in that because
oh my
gosh. I don't know.
Okay.
Trying out different styles.
How long before did you know you were going to be on the show?
Yeah.
Girl, I didn't know that I was going to for sure be cast until the week before I left.
Oh my God.
That's so stressful.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, because like, the whole process and everything, it was like, it was in like a few months that I was like, oh, you could potentially be on here. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna feel like it until you send me my plane ticket.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they did. And it was like, once I got the confirmation, I was like,
oh my God,
I'm really doing this. I really pulled the trigger on this.
Yeah.
Like, am I ready? And it was like, I did so much prep before, because I was like, whether or not I'm on this or not, at least I know. And I feel like genuinely, like I even told everybody that was at the shop I work at, I was like, I wish I had one more year and I would be ready. So that's why I'm saying, like, if I were to come back, like, oh my God, I'd be so fucking ready, because I could do a lot. Like I went into it like a good tattoo artist, but I came out of it an even better one. And I'm very thankful for that, because even though it really, really broke me down, it's like anything in life, right? If you don't get back from it, you're just stuck there, and you're gonna either let it eat you alive, and either you're a sinker or a swimmer. And I ain't no sinker. I'm a swimmer. So you know what I mean? So I as soon as I came back, I did conventions, guest spots, and I traveled a bunch. I learned a lot, but yeah. So the preparation before, it was a lot, because it was not only like, prepare all this. I'm like, I want to look cute on camera, and on camera you got to make
you're
sure
like in the gym. You're fucking
oh my gosh. I was like, that's why I feel like I broke down so much, because I was like, I wasn't eating nearly as much as I should have. I was like, you know what I mean?
So like 300 calories.
Yeah, I was like, I've got to get TV ready, and I was like, enjoy it, because that. We'll let that be a time in history. I'm like, maybe I'll get even more snatched or whatever, but I just want to be tattooed. I want to be more tattooed when I go back, and because I'm already starting to work on my sleeves a lot more, because when I got there, I had like 2 half sleeves, and like, my legs were already tattooed. Like, my legs have been tattooed for a long time.
I know your legs are dope. I'm staring at them.
I know that your arms are so empty. It's so crazy.
I know, and that to me is like, it sucks to have such like great work that's like on my upper arms, right? Like, I have my parents' portraits. I have my Valentina on this arm. But yeah, like, you don't really see that as much.
And all your work is good too.
Yeah, and I know, I'm looking like, what the fuck?
Thank you. Yeah, no, because I've always just been that like person that's like, I want to have good tattoos. Like, I'll pay money for good tattoos and everything. And of course, I have some that like, I practice on myself here and there, but they're not necessarily like the best, but they're also not the worst. Yeah, so I've seen some fucked up tattoos. So you know what I mean? Like, people who have like blacked out sleeves, I'm like, oh, you're a good tattoo artist, because you've been through some shit. You've seen some shit. So, I'm very thankful that I have some good work on me, but yeah, the show, it's a lot of prep. So it's not only, I wish I would have done things differently, and all those designs that I had done before, I wish I would have saved for the show, because I think that, even if I would have tattooed them again, whatever, it'd be a different rendering or whatnot. Yeah. But just to have a arsenal of different things that they could throw at you in different styles. That's what I would do differently. And I wouldn't creatively exhaust myself like I did, because there was months in between filming and when it actually aired, to where I was like, fuck, I could have filmed those videos after I got back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I could have saved all those designs, done what I did. And even if I would have gotten out, which I'm sure I would have, like, I genuinely could not have seen myself in the finale. And that's the thing that took me out of it, because going in with that mentality already puts you at a loss, right? So no, I'm finalist material, baby. I am finalist material. And the thing too that really sucked, and it really felt like a knife in my heart at the end of every year, I look at at the beginning of every year, I write down all my goals for the year, right? because I manifest. Every single year, I would be like, get on Ink Master, be a finalist, win. Last year, which was the year that I manifest, I said, get cast on Ink Master. I didn't manifest winning. Yeah. I just got manifest casting, and I was there for one episode. You did it yourself. I was like, oh, my heart. You know what I mean? Like, I should have manifest that. So I'm like, this year, I'm like, no, get back on there and fucking win this shit. Yeah. Because I think I have potential to do so much more. Yeah. And I think that I'm very well versed in a lot of different things because, you know, I worked in a private studio for the past like 2-3 years, but I've also worked in street shops. I've traveled to street shops. I've, you know, done the thing. I can get a client off the street and tattoo them. You know what I mean? Like I've done it and I've done every style. So, you know.
And just moving to LA, you're going to make so many more connections too on top of that. I definitely think you'll be back. Yeah, you'll be back.
I hope so. Because I think that, you know, I've got main character energy and I think that
for sure.
You know, I think they even saw that too earlier on. And I think that it was kind of a blessing too, because everybody's got to watch the first episode, right? So it was like, everybody's going to see that episode and whether they watch it or continue, at least they started with me. And I opened the show, baby. I opened that show with a bang. So
I stopped watching after that one, I will say.
Yeah, I was like, I wish I could say the same, but you know, I wanted to be there for my friends. So yeah, no, and it's a great season. Everybody who's on it, very talented people. So, you know, very, very, very grateful.
Did you feel like you had a lot of other mentors along the way too, or you just kind of have been?
Yeah, you know what? After the show, I feel like someone who, you know, maybe he thinks it, maybe not, but John Mesa I will give him his flowers. He's someone who I feel like I was able to talk to, and he treated me like an equal, like all of them. Everybody treated me like an equal, which was so awesome. But like him, Bobby, and just anybody and everybody who allowed me that space, I felt like they kind of helped me along the way, and have continued to, because like Bobby, for example, that's my boy. I love Bobby so much. And people didn't think like, you know, they'll be like, who are you the closest with? And I'm like, Bobby and Charlene and like John. And they'd be like, really? Like what? I wouldn't think. And even Aaron, like I love Aaron too. Everybody. I like everybody. I can't say more than others, but you know, I traveled more with Bobby. You know, I went to different places with Bobby, and he was someone, even though he won, he treated me like even though I went home first, he treated me like an equal. And I thought that was so cool, because he's someone who in the industry has status. He's someone who like, he's a tattoo artist. And that to me is cool. Same thing with Jenna. She treated me like an equal, and same thing with John. Like, you know, all of them who have really, really big established names. And they're like, you know, like John learned stuff from me. I learned stuff from John, and you know, he's
it's why they get to the top of their...
And being next to him, like they sat me next to him like during the show and everything, and I'm like, wow, he's so polarizing. He's someone who's so like put together, and like he just knows his shit, and he like does it, and it's so inspiring, because he's someone who's like, he's 40, but he's still so young.
He's 40?
He looks great. He looks so great. I told him, I was like, I want to look 30. Like you, dude. Like, you know, I'm like,
What's your skincare routine?
That's what I would say. And he's like, he's so well dressed, and he's so just well poised. And I shout out to John Mesa. He's a great person. And you know, Bobby too. Bobby, it made me so happy. He went on the Eat and Body podcast, and he actually spoke so highly of me, and that made me so happy, because I was like, wow. Like he's like, he's not week one material, and I'm like, thank you so much for saying that, because it holds a different weight, because you know, I'm nobody, and I feel like I'm nobody, and you know, somebody who achieved so much and has achieved and is continuing to achieve so much and pushing themselves. It's really nice to hear that.
Yeah, super validating.
He was really the first tattoo podcast we heard about. Like, you know, we were looking, that's why we started this too. Like we're looking like there's no
John's.
Yeah, John's. Yeah. There's no lane for like, or I mean, nobody's created that lane yet really for podcasting, and he started to, and that's why we jumped on too. We're like, fuck it, okay, yeah, no female tattoo artists, no whatever, you know, we had to do it.
I'm really glad that you guys did. I'm really glad that you guys did, because I think that there needs to be more people like you guys who are changing the game, people like us who are changing the game, right? Because it's like, if there aren't people like us, there's not going to be more people to come, right? Right. If we're not the change,
and we were all different stages of our tattoo career too, so yeah.
Which is so cool. And I'm glad that you guys are branching out into having like guests like me, which is cool, which please have me back. Like,
of course. Yeah.
I'm like, I'll be another pussycat.
That's you eventually start running out of things to talk about when you're like, damn, we need to have a guest
I know.
on.
And then especially if it's just like the three of us, we all see each other every day. We talk about the same shit all the time.
Yeah.
And then especially like Bella's on maternity leave, so then me and Charlie are just here. We
you guys are like we
can't. Yeah,
there's nothing to say that she doesn't already know.
No, yeah, we're just like agreeing on this same shit all the time.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah.
And then you don't want to talk too personal on your own shit where you're like, oh, this is what the people want to hear, though.
No, that's the thing with doing content as a tattooer,
hard.
right? Is that it's like you want to keep like personal life in that too, right?
Kind of impossible though.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like whenever I post my boyfriend, right? Like my boyfriend sometimes will be like, "How come you don't post me as much?" Well, it's a combination of a lot of things, right? Like I want to have a part of my life that's just for me, and I think that he is that part of my life that I'm just like, yeah, like I'll post you here and there, right? But it's like I want that for me because that's my person, right? And I want that to just be for me. And whenever I post my partner, I don't know if that happens to you, but like I lose a shit ton of followers.
I do.
Yeah.
That's why I don't post on
I'm like, you can post on your own shit, right? Like,
my boyfriend tells me not to post him. He's like, you're gonna lose followers. I'm like, I don't care.
I know, but literally, like, I'll lose.
But you do.
Being like,
I'm like, sorry, babe. But, yeah.
Yeah, because
I love you, but
it makes me so sad because I'm just like, dude, I work so hard, and then it's like automatically I post them and it's like 2,000 followers gone.
Seriously,
like that's it.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's
You're like,
cold in these streets.
I know, like people think. Never mind.
What?
Say it
like,
with your chest.
Like they. No, it's okay.
Stop.
Because they thirst over you and then they see, oh, she's claimed or whatever. Right?
Yes, and then they're like,
you have to play
my
on,
chances are gone.
Yeah.
As a woman too, you have to play on the shit. You kind of have to put yourself out there some way sexually for the most part, unless you're pushing that like modest content.
Yeah,
but
which I don't mind.
Sex appeals everything.
Yeah, I don't mind using that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
like, use what you got. Use what you got. Like, honestly, there's even sometimes where I'll post like, oh, like, you know, I'm a queer tattoo artist. If you want to get tattooed me, whatever, right? Yeah. You get a bunch of comments. You get a bunch of engagement, good or bad. A lot of it is bad usually. The people are like, why do you have to say that you're gay or whatever? That doesn't mean anything.
Because look what you're doing. You're commenting.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. You're helping my engagement. Dude. Thanks.
It's all just baiting. Like, baiting. Yeah.
No, yeah.
We always talk about that.
Yeah, that one viral one I had where I was like, just talking about being a female, and then so many people were like, nobody said that.
And that's what got people talking.
It was the same one that we blew up.
Is that the one?
Yeah, I think it was the one. It was like, oh, like, you know, I don't want to get tattooed by a female tattooist, or like something along the lines of that. Yeah. Yeah, same thing with me. So like, funny. You know, oh, no one wants to get tattooed by me because I fucking got eliminated first. You know, and it's like, we're fine.
Yeah. Like, okay, go do what I know you're going to do.
Yeah. And that's what people take it so serious. But I'm like, do you guys not understand social media at all? Yeah. And they don't. They really don't. Like,
no, because a lot of it, it's like reality TV.
It is.
Like, I mean, entertainment. It's like entertainment, right? It's like there's things that are put into place because it's like it's going to get a visceral reaction, right? It's going to get people commenting. It's going to get people talking. And that's why I think that things kind of play out in TV the way that they do, because it's like, oh, my fan favorite, or, you know, how people become fan favorites is because their favorite just went home or whatever. And it's like, oh.
Did you get any stands?
I hope. I hope. You know what? Who I live for that has like the cult following is Charlene. That is my baby girl. That is I love her so much. She is such a, like, we're like this. She's my girl, and I'm excited because when I moved to LA, she's out there in LA too. She's only like maybe like a 20-30 minute drive from me.
Nice.
So
she seems so sweet. Yeah, I don't know her personally, but yeah.
I need to educate myself more. As you're talking about all these people, I'm like, I don't know them.
She's so everything.
I know Jenna just from us talking about her and whatever in her work, but I'm like, I didn't watch the show and I should have, and now I'm like, okay, I have to.
Hey, you still can. It's she's now on Paramount.
Yeah, plug all your shit.
Well.
Yeah. No, I'm like a Joel Mejia tattoo on everything.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, she's freaking awesome. I love her. Me and her are just like two peas in a pod. Very sunshine energy people. Yeah. And she's one of those, she's a fan favorite. Yeah. And I love it because when she was eliminated, I was upset. I was so upset because it was just like, how are you going to send home my girl when she should be in the finale? Or she should be in top 3 or top 4? Because she's such a versatile tattoo artist.
She really is.
Yeah, and she's just someone who, like, I asked her if she would go back and everything. She's like, I don't know, maybe. And like, we know, even me, like if they were asking me to be back, I'd really have to think about it too, because it's like you're putting yourself out there in a whole other way, and you have to rebuild yourself, right? No matter how you do, because people who stay there longer, you know, they go through more of the motions of what it is to be there, and it's, you know, no sleep, It's time.
Yeah, are they like
right?
torturing you guys? What the fuck's going on?
No, like by any means, like they treat you the best as you can in the circumstances, right? Because you sign up for this, right? You sign up to do all these different things, and when I was there, I was treated very nicely by everybody. So I'm very, very glad that I had that positive experience with all the people behind the scenes, because they genuinely care, and they're people who are lovers of art. You know, everybody who's on set, you know, they see what you do and they try and help you the best that they can. And, you know, I will say the conditions, it's a stressful competition. It's a competition. That's what you sign up for, right? So you have limited drawing time, limited tattooing time, and all these other things, right? So like, for example, my tattoo, as soon as I, you know, did the stencil peel and everything, I was like, the composition's a little bit off, but I think I could sell it because she's supposed to be sad and demure and she's looking down because of whatever, right? The reason I didn't change things or whatever is because my time had started. That's 6 hours that I have. It's a tattoo that's the size of a sheet of paper.
It's massive.
It's a big tattoo, right? Like it was bigger than a lot of the other tattoos that were in the bottom.
Yeah.
It was bigger, cleaner, and just better. And it was my only chance with that stencil, because behind the scenes, the stencil machines weren't working. The printer wasn't really working. The Wi-Fi wasn't working. So it was a lot of things that were kind of like, it was all the like, well, if I wait around for all of this, like, yeah, obviously, you know, like they're getting.
And they took that off your time, even though their shit wasn't working.
No, it's 6 hour starts.
Wow.
Gets it going.
Oh
so it's like, it sucks, but that's just TV, babes. It's literally that, and it sucks because, you know, obviously they're on it. They make sure that they're doing things, but it was the first day of filming. So of course, you know, not everything's going to run as smoothly, but it's also reality TV. So they kind of live off of things kind of going awry.
Yeah.
So I fully knew that it was like my only chance with the stencil. If not, I'd have to wait another 30 minutes to an hour to kind of get everything kind of situated.
I'd be sick.
But what I wish I would have done was take a breather, wipe off the stencil, and do something that I already had that was already there, right? Because can I show you what I would have done? Yeah. Do I have my phone with me somewhere? I think I have it. Oh, here it is. I'm gonna show you what I would have done on the show, because it was like I showed everybody, like, these were all the tattoos that I had done before, and they were like, I'm so bummed. I'm so bummed, because that would have been so fire, and you would have for sure been safe, and you would have probably even been in the top.
Like, don't tell me that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would have been. And you know what? This took me 5 hours.
Yeah. Wow.
This took me 5 hours to do.
That's impressive too.
I'm a pretty quick tattoo artist. So it's like I have the technical, I have the ability, because like my line work was some of the thinnest and cleanest. And it's like, no one talks about how hard it is to pull a clean, thin line when you're like under that much pressure. But my line work was some of the best in the room for that day. Like my technical, even though I fell short on composition, my technical was still there.
Yeah.
So
there's way worse pieces that I wish I could just like shit on it.
Like, yeah, you know what? And I think that even they can agree, right? And people who stay there a little bit longer, they can agree that things could have played out differently and should have played out differently, but it's okay. And I think that, you know what, I'm very happy for the way that they placed. I'm very happy the way that, you know what, everything happens for a reason. Yeah. You know, and I'm never going to be sour about anybody who stayed or anything. Cause like, you know, Brian, I'll put it out there. Brian is the homie. I love Brian as a person. I think he's a really, really cool guy. He's someone that was bummed after I left. And even when we were talking and we both knew we were in the bottom, he's like, I think you're going to be the one that stays over me. And I was like, well, fuck, I hope so. But I'm very happy for him. And you know, he made it very far. And I think that that's cool. I'm really happy for him. And I think that, you know what, I will have my time. When my time.
100%. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. What, if you can talk about anything, like what projects do you have coming up, or what's your like plans for the next couple of years? Like your goals, obviously you want to get on another season, but
oh my gosh. So I hope that, like, obviously the short term would be get on another season, win. And, you know,
no big deal. Just win.
No big deal. Just be the first ever game master, you know, something light. And then, just kind of, I don't know, you know what? I was really thinking about that because I was like, what if I would have won? What's my next big goal? Right. Because that's my biggest goal. Yeah. So what happens after that? Like I even asked Bobby, I was like, what are you going to do after this? And he's like, honestly, bro, still trying to figure that out.
Tattoo, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, once you hit a certain point, like even Nico and Ryan and all the judges, they've reached a point of their career where it's like now they're judging people behind the other side of the screen. So it's like afterwards, what more do you want for yourself? Because you've already done it. You're already the person to go to. You're already that, you know, established. So I think it's just for me personally, it's achieving those different goals, like making content with Inked magazine, or
they need you on there.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, actually, hopefully they still do this, but they had reached out to me afterwards and they were like, hey, let us know when you're in New York again, because we'd love to film content with you. So I'm like, Inked, I'm gonna hold you to that. Yeah. So, you know, hopefully more content with Inked. Do other fun stuff. Like I love stuff like this, like hanging out with the homies and just like doing content and fully paving the industry forward, right?
Yeah, it's so underdeveloped still.
It is. There's so much room for growth, and I think that podcasts and Instagram just media in general.
Yeah, it's not mainstream at all, and it's started. I mean, it's not mainstream for just tattooing. It's mainstream for like TV shows and whatever. Like, but there's so much room, which
I would love to do. Like even like past Ink Master, I would love to do other projects, right? Like in media, art, fashion, whatever it may be. Like even if it's not like reality and it's just something else, like I want to be on camera. I want to be in media. I think that's definitely, I would hope there's a space for me there. So that's something I want to work towards, and just building and trying to be the best me I can be. Yeah. And having stability in life, because no one talks about how hard it is to manage business and also like, you know, your love life and having a dog and a home and a this and a that. And I'm like, gosh, it's so much
extremely
work.
hard. Yeah.
So much work.
Everyone here struggles with it. Like you're tattooing late into the night. We're here, I would say more often than not, like 15-hour days. Like much, 12 to like 15-hour days every day. Yeah. So, and we work 4 days a week. That's why we do that now, but it's hard.
We're in the shop 4 days a week, but we're working on the off days too. And like, we're working every day.
Yeah. So. It's a full-time job. Cause like especially, you know, once you know, we charge a certain amount, right? If you charge that certain amount, you got to back it. So you're putting in work outside of that. You're spending hours, you know, there's days where I'm like, you know, my boyfriend's like, let's watch a movie or something. I'm like, and I'm like on my iPad and I'm just like drawing and everything. Cause I'm like, babe, I want to spend time with you, but I also got to make sure that we can.
That's life of an entrepreneur, a business owner. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause if it's not, you know, designing, it's editing footage, it's doing all these other things. And it's what you need to do as a tattoo artist nowadays is you've got to be everything and anything that you possibly can be. And then setting time aside for filming and feeling good, because, that's another thing that no one talks about either, is feeling good to do content. Right. So like after I got kicked off, my confidence shot. I didn't feel like I wanted to be in front of a camera, anything like that. So it's like, I took all these different trips and all these things. And I'm like, I have a bunch of footage, but I'm like, I don't want to really post it because I didn't really feel my best. I didn't look my best. I didn't, you know, cause I was like, I gained depression weight, or you know, this and all that. And I like just feeling down about yourself. Right. And those are things that people don't really talk about. Those are things that people don't really express. But
I was going through that whole thing today. I was like, I don't feel comfortable in my body. I don't even want to do this. Like I want to do it, but I'm like, I don't want to be in front of a camera right now. But you just push through. Honestly, it's like
showbiz, babes. Yeah, keep it going.
It is what it is. Fucking tits up. Let's go.
You know, the glamour.
Yeah, definitely not talked about enough. But and then just posting on social media. I never was a person that posted before tattooing. Then all of a sudden I'm trying to constantly do it, and it is so hard. And I just go boom, 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 like up and down. And it sucks because it's like you need to be more consistent with how you're posting to go up.
The worst is too when you spend so much time editing something and then it flops. Oh my God. There were so many times
I'd be ready to quit.
I would do that and I'm like, so I should just jump off a bridge. Cool.
Literally. It's like you think this shit's gonna go off. You're like, it's my best piece.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna pop off with this. And then it's like, no, it's the freaking shitty camera quality, whatever ones. It's like, this is like 500,000. I'm like, yeah. All right. Well, there's that.
Yeah. I know exactly how you feel, but all right, I think we should wrap it up right there. Yeah. This is a great conversation. I definitely want to have you back on, and I want to have you back on with Bella when she comes back. Yeah,
please.
For sure. We don't even know if she's having her baby right now, so I honestly, we haven't heard from her. She could be in labor right now. But plug all your social media.
Yes. Okay. Well, if you want to see more from me, I have a TikTok and a YouTube channel as well, and Instagram. Everything is at Joel Mejia Tattoo. You can catch me on season 15 of Ink Master, hopefully a future season of Ink Master as well. And hopefully you see me back here on the Pussycat Doll podcast.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. And if you watched it all the way to the end, what emoji do you want to see them drop in the comments?
Drop a heart because it's Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah. We didn't even address that.
That's
why we're kind of dressed like that.
So I look like a bum.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Did it.
Yay.
How long was that? It felt so long. But
Oh, that's
cool.
actually not bad.
Okay.
No,
I felt like we were talking forever.
I thought it was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that was really good.
That's not bad. Because that's enough to get people.
No, it's like